Okay.
Hi, hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Bruno.
Farah.
How are you?
How are you doing? Good to
I'm
see
good.
you.
Yeah. Good to see you too.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Good. Would like to say, I guess our guests are connecting right now. Would like to say thank you guys for attending the webinar. And it's a Photo Academy webinar where we'll be talking about like food photography and DIY food photography with Farah, which is great to guide us through all these steps. And I would like to start with a more personal question, so everybody can know more about our guest today.
Thank you, Bruno.
And
And I'm excited
yeah,
for today, actually. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
good, very good to have you. And Farah, would like to, of course, photography and food are both subjects that we are very into. It's a pleasure. I think it's a perfect combination about like two activities we really enjoy, and the ritual and the celebration of sitting together. And I would like to know more about how your cultural background influence your food photography, and how it shapes, guide you, give you directions and where to go. And yeah, please introduce you more about this.
Yeah, so I think we can all relate to food photography in general and on an emotional level, because whenever we see like an image related, we see a photo, we connect to it emotionally, like we want to eat food. So it's not only like the picture, it's also like telling a story. So restaurants use all these images as well to, you feel like you want to go to that restaurant and try that food. Or when you bake at home, somebody asks you about, oh, what is this recipe? So for me, I've been forever, like my mom is a great cook. So that also helped me a lot to understand more about food. And I honestly love to eat more than I like to cook, but I also have to cook. Like I had to learn to cook, because when you're living by yourself, you really need to learn how to cook, especially when like you feel like you want to eat specific food that the way your mom cooks. So I kind of very get that related in terms of food. Whenever I want to eat something, I just try to learn all these stuff. And it happens that I picked telling stories, and I'm very passionate about telling stories in general, and I picked the camera as a tool to tell these stories. So, and it comes to either in food or the different things, right? So I enjoy taking picture of food sometimes, even. And the good thing about like whenever you're taking food photography, even if you're cooking not that good, sometimes in the it looks really great sometimes, and still doesn't like it. That's kind of tricky about the food and photography at the same time. You still can, and that's where they apply a lot of tricks and things like that. And I also love to learn a lot about other culture food. So I'm more of, yeah, I try a lot of different foods. So I enjoy eating and cooking as well. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. That's the key balance. If I knew how to cook like my parents and my mom, photography we can guarantee, but cooking good with them will be a perfect combination. That's very true. And considering this, this is now even you can see online they have like the photography diets, like this culture of snapping our food, what we eat, and sharing on social media, and how popular and how embedded this is on our DNA, man. Since Stone Age, food celebration and people around is how we create a circle. And this was like carried and passed on generations on food, on the family, oriented cultures, which are very strong in our cultures, And do you think the snapping, habit before eating is becoming part of the eating ritual as well? Like, before eating, some people pray to take pictures, or celebrate and say thank you. How do you see that nowadays?
Oh my God, it's so true. So going back to culture and me, so for us, like food was like something that we treasure. Like we always like breakfast, lunch, and dinner in my family. We sit and eat all together. So I cannot, let's say, when I was a kid, miss a meal, right? Like we're all
Yeah.
sitting together. That's our time together. And the thing about our culture as well, that I think a lot of people are like that. They put food and then sit on around the table and eat, and they gather. And it's different culture. I think for us, for example, or Turkish people, they put a small plate in everywhere, and everybody eat like little into the middle, and then everybody's sharing. Where other culture, they're more of of um, of more like a full, like your own plate, and you just have whatever right, and then
And don't touch
sometimes
it, like, kind of could
yeah,
be not
it's like
respectful. Don't touch my
yeah,
food. Yeah,
yeah.
true.
And we always have the rice and all these stuff. Now before, we don't have cameras, right? Like we sit and really enjoy the moment and all that stuff. These days is more like part of the enjoyment. I wouldn't say is like a rule, because some people look at it as like, oh, this will ruin, you're not living the moment. Maybe if you take it to the extreme, like if you keep taking like tons of image and people are waiting for you, right? But however, it is kind of like you still can take an image and still enjoy the moment, but not to ruin
Finding the
it
balance.
altogether.
Yes.
Yeah, find the balance, because again, like taking an image, if you think about it, these days is business connected to photos, connected to what we do, and everything is online. So it's now it's a new culture, instead of just like something outside as an outsider. It's actually just something, we're adding something to our culture in a way, where people start taking photos because either they like what they cook, or they want to share, or they want to share the recipe. So it is for a good reason. You're not taking an image to show other people. I was like, oh, look what I'm eating now. Like, it depends what's the purpose for, right? It's how you
what
use it.
the message. True.
The message that we're using in terms of that. So it's very important how we look at it, as again, when it comes to taking photos. And we do pray, like you still can pray and eat and take photos, and just a combination of a balance of all of them.
It could be like the, you got the book Eat, Pray, Love, and Take Pictures,
I
like
take pictures.
that. So we added the title of the book.
It's so true.
True.
Think about it, like later on in life, honestly, like now when I look at, sometimes I look at older picture when like 10 years ago, what I have is those images to remind me. And also, if I want to tell to new generation or my kids and my grandkids, then I'm going to look at these images and see what other, like show them, like this is our culture, this is what happens, this is our only proof that we lived it, right?
It's documenting the ritual. That's very true. And I would like to speak with the audience as well, and ask them what kind of food you like to shoot. Sometimes dessert or savory, pastry, or mains, starters. Feel free, guys, to drop questions here, make comments, and we are happy to answer them as soon as we can. And because it's not only it's a way to connect cultures as well. I think it's a very good way to approach a different culture, even in these difficult times that we live, that people, I don't like that person that lives in that country, on that border. So I think food is something that could transcend these divisions that sometimes we create. Is a good way to put people together. That's very good.
Definitely.
I couldn't. I would like to. It's a question that sometimes us that are photographers and we know how to take a good picture. Do you think is it possible, Farah, to take a good picture even when the food is not like tasty, great? Is it possible to save a food that is not, the best on photography, like make it look amazing? What do you think?
So it's also, so here's the thing, like if you go to a restaurant and you're taking a picture of a plate, like there's so many elements that you need to think of before taking that picture, even for the, but then again, the plate will look good. However, if you're cooking something and it doesn't look as good and you want to make it appealing, or the vice versa, like the food looks good but it's not tasty, then you can definitely get away with it. Like even if you think about it, about McDonald's and all the restaurants, and they don't, there's a stylist for the food, so they don't really use the right ingredients even in the shoot. Like for example, I want to, like as a small tip, trick, there's, let's say you want to shoot a soup, right? And you know how the soup, there's topping on top of it. Let's say you want to add some greens on top, or something that's colorful. So whenever you're adding that, sometimes you can just put 2 or 3 apple underneath that, and then pour the soup inside the bowl, and then put the stuff. This way it won't sink, for example. So small tricks. Yes, there's no way people, you need that. If you're selling this image, you need to make sure that it's good. If you want people to show what you're eating in a way, then you always have to pay attention to small details, right? So it's kind of combination of learning as well, and the purpose of what you're shooting for. Yeah, but it's a very tricky. Like you can shoot anything, and you can, people think that it's amazing, right? Because they won't know what's underneath and what you're using.
What's the behind the scenes? Yeah. Is exactly where we want to get now. So I think the audience and everybody's like, looking forward to see what's the magic behind. So feel free to fire your presentation and the topics.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So let's do the presentation. Sure. Now, we're gonna do, why we're talking about food, Fifi, I think because this is, we get all we know about it, and this is the pandemic. We know that we've all been, I just want to make sure you're seeing my page, right?
Yeah. I think everybody can see. Everybody can see.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we all get into, now with pandemic, everybody's experimenting with cooking, and some people having a side hustle on the side, and they want to add more of showing their talent, and they're, say, baking biscotti. Just like I have a relative, she started selling her own biscotti, which is great. So I want to tell you a bit of myself. Who the heck am I? My name is Farah Ghazal, and I'm a passionate storyteller. As I told you, I decided to pick the camera to be my tool to tell these stories, and it's more, my style is more of a lifestyle photography. So and I apply that to wedding, food, family, and branding. I'm an instructor with the Photo Academy as well, and I work as a contractor with a couple of companies. And with the pandemic, I start shifting everything online, so more like a photo talks instead of photo walk. So I just want to, before I go to the presentation, I want to let you know that I'm guilty of it, and I think we all are. Whenever we start anything new, we're mostly like, we're going to perfection. So always remember, perfection is not the goal. Progress is what counts. So whatever you see in this presentation, some photos, they look great. However, just remember that practicing makes perfect, and it takes time to get what you want. Just consistent what matter, and to get to that, the secret sauce, basically, whenever you want to take a photo and make it look good, is combination of natural light, styling, and composition. And without these 3 elements, we can't really, like they all combine each other to make it perfect. And in this webinar, that's what I want to talk to you about.
Before you get started, so far, sorry to interrupt you very quickly. So some of the questions students our guests are asking. So Farah actually teaches, a food photography course, and I teach the basic steps in photography. So you can find on the Photo Academy website the courses available, so you can develop more what we're going to talk today. Okay, carry on, Farah. Sorry.
Yes, and the course will be on May 15. The food course on May 15, and yours will be, when was it? May 1st, right?
First is correctly,
May
yes.
1st.
Basic. So
Yes,
which will be good. So you can have a bit of the first steps, and then you move
yes,
on to the
and
food
they go.
photography, the skills in hands, and then you can make it work and get your, food
Yes,
photography looking amazing.
yes. So now, if this page is not sponsored and by Canon or anything, I just want to let you know, if you, let's say you have a blog, and you started, you want to talk about, like, you want your images to look better, and you just decided that you want a camera. This is an affordable one, and I think as a start. However, your phone, it's T3i Rebel, but your phone can do also a lot, and there's so many lenses that you can clip to the phone. And if you're interested,
Oh
that
yeah,
would be
the
another.
attachments, yeah, that you
Yeah.
clip on. Yeah, that's a very good tool, and it's affordable as well, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Some of them they're affordable. Some, like, there's other brands, and they're really, really actually great if you just want to use your phone. And let's say you move around and take photos, and your phone can do that as well if you're not doing it
Yeah.
as 100% professional. Now, so let's start with lighting. When it comes to lighting, there is, and I'm talking about natural light. So there's so many different styles for lighting, like there's the vintage and all that. But today, for this webinar, I'm talking about more of a light and a bright and airy, and then dark and moody. And when it comes to my style, I make sure that, for example, all my photos look bright and airy and soft. So I ask myself, does this fit? This way I add, then great, yes, I'll add it to my Instagram and so on. So you need to figure out more of, before you start taking any photo, ask yourself, like, which one do I like more, and stick to it. So any photo you want to, and we'll talk more about that. So however, when the thing is with the dark and moody, it helps food look on a 3D on a 2D surface, because you're creating a lot of shadows and depths.
Oh,
That
interesting.
doesn't mean
So
you.
yeah, the dark one and depends on what's the message. Yeah, is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can do the same, but it depends with the white, with the bright and light, with the shadows, for example. But it's also so now with the lighting, with natural light, the most important thing whenever you're shooting. So let's say you are at home, you need to find a location where, and usually find the window. The most important thing is a window, where this is okay, window, a table, and that's all you need basically, and your camera. So now once you find, and then once you find that table, you need to turn off all the artificial light, and that's what you can see over here. There is an artificial light, like a bulb open here. You can see, for example, the spotlight on the glass, and it's like a reflection. So this is very important of when you start shooting something, and on a daylight, just make sure, or like, let's say sunset time, make sure that the lights are off, and the timing also matters. So in the morning or in the afternoon, however, you can always shoot also midday. If let's say you're shooting outside and the sun is very harsh and it's 12 p.m., you can use a diffuser, because diffuser, a curtain, a white paper that's block the light, block the sun from coming. And just one thing to keep in mind always, like, the bigger the source of the light, the softer the light is. That's why using the sun is very great, because you can do so much with that, and it's very soft. And that's why also whenever you see, like, shooting in fashion, all that, they use a huge light source, and
big modifiers. Yes,
exactly. And they create that, because it creates that soft look to it. So now also location matters. So let's say you're shooting and there is a red wall. That red wall will cast a lot of tint on your food. So you really make sure that the furniture is not too brown and black, and the wall is not, unless you're going to that look. However, it's always better to shoot around, like, a white wall, neutral colors around you, and make sure, and then you add the element that you want, let's say blackboard or blue or whatever color you're using. This way you're controlling the result, not the result is controlling your image.
More like a blank canvas, then you can play around, something neutral.
Exactly.
Good. Yeah, yes, perfect.
Yeah, so now, for example, you have this window over here, and then this is the camera, you have your product. Do not stand over there behind, and don't block the light, because this way you're taking from the light. So make sure that the window is facing this way. And let's say, for example, you have one window only. That means it's creating more of a gradient color. The light will hit over here and more to this side than this other side, right? So it's more, it will create that gradient effect if that's what you want. However, if you want the image is bright, you want it brighter, you can add a foam board, white foam board, which will bounce the light back. And then this way you get rid of all the shadows around your subject. And now, for example, let's say these photos over here, the light is coming from here and it's creating all the way shadows to this way. And this kind of shot is like more of an action shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that means we'll talk about that in the composition
The categories,
section. Yeah. And then this way, if you can guess it, like the light is coming from this side, and you can see that it's also telling a story, and they're using the raw ingredients. And in a way, it feels like it's more like of a messy look, but at the same time, it's messy, but it's very organized messy. So like you create the mess, but you also know why you're creating the mess.
Mm-hmm.
And now, for example, this is another one. This way, if you want to use the sun to your advantage, and yes, bright and light, but again, you want to create depth and 3D, you can always play with the sun, and that will cast a lot of shadows to create more of a depth in your image. Oops, I don't know what I did.
And can I ask you a question, Farah? I could see that some of the, if you can relate on the other ingredient, that was a more like a dark background, the dark moody light. It was looking almost like paintings, the classical paintings that we know about fruits and on table. There was a kind of that aesthetic on photography. And the second shot you just showed us something very fresh and bright and airy. And how can you relate your aesthetic choice to what you actually shooting in terms of food? The other ones was more like a dessert, rich food, like pasta and pastry. And the other with a more airy and bright shots, I could see there was something fruity, fresh, and communicate this like summery look. And how do you play around with those two elements? And I mean, on your vision before you shoot, like how do you explain a bit more of that?
Yes, sure. So again, whenever this is the question that you ask yourself, okay, am I cooking more of everything? What kind of style do I want to shoot? Is it more of rustic and vintage and black and moody, or do I want it more of fresh in color? And you apply that with your images. So so again, there's a lot of editing in this image. If you see like the raw image, it does not look as, this is like not a lot of editing, I would say a lot of saturation down, right? And again, but the feel of it, that it tells you that, okay, great, they're using eggs, there is a chair, but also this is not the main, the star of this shoot is basically the cake over here.
Yes, perfect.
Here is more of like literally cooking. There is more like beverage and small things. Like it's very minimal, so it's totally different story. Yes, it's still related to food, but it's more of an artistic style of food. But not only that, it's more of basic. So this one, it has more of a lot of ingredients in it, and you need more elements in it to tell that.
Complex
so that's
process.
why it's a complex process. So it depends. Again, you need to ask yourself, okay, do I want to be a minimal person when I like a minimal, my style to be minimal and straight to the point, just like a plate and couple of things, or do I want that style of and you can always do all of them together, and as long as you stick to the authenticity, like not authenticity, to the cohesive look of the images. So they're all like combined. Like you can always use one or two things, like one egg or two, and make it look. But again, if you're sharing recipes, you need to add more of this kind of photos, and then decide, is it bright and airy or light or dark and moody?
And
I hope I answered your question.
No, true. There's something else I would like to mention as well. When you because the first shot you had like lots of elements involved in a shot. The other one, like you said, is minimal. And in the process of adding these elements, I could see that you have the, the dish pasta, and you have the grinder on the back, the Parmesan cheese. And how do you start? You put like first, oh, let's put the plate and the food, and then how do you, what's the hierarchy of how do you put this together?
Okay, so first thing first, we're gonna go actually through the image. I will. That's related to props, and we're gonna go.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, guys. I think let me check here. Yeah, I think we lost Farah for a second. I'm hoping she will connect again here. And so let's see how the connection is.
Like, oh, I want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good. Yes. So yeah, back here. Good. Food. We can see the pictures. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I think it was an internet connection issue.
Oh,
so
okay.
You were saying about how you're putting the elements on the scene, adding them.
Yeah, where did you lost me? On which side? Where was I? Like, for example, for the plate, you need to pick your star, right? Like, this is the star of the shoot. So if it says spaghetti, then this is where it. Like, this is the main, and then everything around it. In editing, you can bring it down, tone out the color, as you still can see them, but they're not the main thing. Your eye first, right away, go here, and then you will wander around. I was like, okay, there's butter here or cheese. There's glass. There's two people sitting on the table. It makes you connect to it to an emotional level, and then same thing here. It's more of the look of the cake, and then that's also an action shot. Not a lot of ingredients, as you see, right? Like, there's only, it's just showing that eggs, and then this. But she could have added more, for example. But that's what she was going for.
Yeah.
So it depends on what's the element that you're using in your shot. Yeah.
And feel free, I guess, if you want to drop questions, guys, we can sometimes, answer them on the go. Maybe at the end, you think it's relevant. We're happy to answer. So feel free to ask your questions on the chat section here. Yeah. So let's carry on, Farah. Yeah.
Yeah. I so you lost me, guys, from the internet. I just figured that I'm the one. My connection is not going well. Okay. I hope we won't lose you. I won't lose you again. Okay, so now we're gonna go so this is it. You figured out where you want to shoot your dish or your plate, and then you have the table and everything. Now we're gonna move on to the excuse me. We're gonna move on to the styling. And when it comes to styling is, okay, the surface that you're shooting on, what is it? You also want to ask yourself, am I using wood? Am I using what kind of, so it's good to keep it simple. Like, you can use any kind of texture, but always avoid like shiny surfaces. And sometimes there's that wood that's very yellow. This would also, in the photo, it might cast a lot of orange, and it's just not going to help you as much in editing. So always make sure about that. So here's some things that you can use, for example, as a backdrop. So this is the base, right? So you have the lighting figured out. Now you need to figure out, what am I shooting this on before? So it depends on the style. Do you want it more like rustic? Do you want it more modern? Is it more? It depends on the dish. So then you can, there's fabric, vinyl, marble, paper, foam board, bed sheets, baking parchment, or like you can also layer things down. So you for me, like, and you even paint your own, and you can find these at the Dollarama or Depot. You can just go to Home Depot and say, oh, I want this part. They cut it for you, and you'll have it. Just place it on top of another table, and boom, you have like different shades and different colors. You don't really need to
spend too much on buying something super fancy, expensive. You can find maybe just a leftover piece of wood and then
Yeah.
get something amazing out of it. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, that's a plan. Yeah, DIY. Yeah, that's it, guys.
Yeah. That, and then there we go. Like you here, you can have these ones that this paper. It depends on the color, and always make sure you have. If you want to, if you don't want that much shadows, there's a good thing that you have a whiteboard or a blackboard. So, for example, if this was a blackboard over here, you can see the error right on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see your cursor screen. Yes.
Yeah. Moving my. So sorry. Okay. So yeah. So if I put that on a black, this will stop the light. Okay. But if I use a board, then this will bounce the light. So always remember that black cut the light, and then white bring more light. So now for props. So this is styling. Now you have your table and the wood that you decided to use and the backdrop, I mean. So now with props. Props is basically everyday object. It could be anything that you can use on, like, for example, a book or stuff like that, or raw materials that relate to what you're actually shooting, just like we saw, eggs, butter, and all these stuff. So now composition prop, you really need now where the composition comes, because you will have so many elements. Now you really need to understand what composition, and I cannot emphasize enough how much composition can play in your image, because this will actually bring out, like, people will guide people where to look, what to do, and this is what we're going to talk about after. So with props, you need to also figure out the color. You need to make it cohesive and looks nice.
So anything that is not
together.
actually the food, you can consider as a prop, correct?
Exactly. And also, not only food can be prop as well. Like, for example, the raw material is also a prop as well. Like, and then this way you can also. There's always room to play with this. Like, there's no right or wrong, right? You might have your own idea of using different specific props. As long as you're defining why this is there, this is great. You cannot just like bring any kind of problems like putting it there. Why it's there is its most important part. And it could be like, you can have different kinds of plates, and as you can see here, for example, this is painted. You can definitely do these stuff, or this is on a black. Props as well is more like different plates, and creating layers with your prop is also very, it gives telling a story as well. So as you can see here, there's so many, but they're all kind of blend together, and the color, and then this color actually pops out, because it's this is where your eye is gonna go.
Your color palette, keeping it. Yes. Yeah, I can see.
Yes.
Perfect.
So again, just make sure that having lots of props will not automatically make you a photographer. This is not. You can have just one or two. Don't worry about prop. Like, the first thing you start with is more of making sure that the plate and the color and the lighting, and then propping slowly. Like, you don't need to add everything all at once. All you need is one or two to start with. And then always ask yourself whenever you start a prop, like again, styling any shoot, any image, just like, do you want it black, white, do you want it, like, I mean, dark and moody, or you want it bright? This is very important before you start. And always place the food first. Yeah, so the first food, and then you play around with everything around it. You don't like put everything and then add the food. No, the first main focus, and always have a tripod, for example, because a tripod will make sure that this is where then play with the things. The tripod, you're not going to move your camera, you're going to move things around, and you're going to frame your photo inside that frame once you have your tripod set. Even with phone, like, there is phone tripod and camera tripod.
Yeah, this was actually sorry for one of the questions from the audience here. One of our guests asking, how essential is a tripod for food photography? You know, it's a key element or something handheld? How do you balance? How important would you say?
Sorry, could you ask me the question again? I didn't.
How essential is to have a tripod for food photography, even if
Oh,
it's a simple one for your mobile or a
oh,
more professional one for a proper DSLR camera?
yeah. So the cool thing about the phone, I mean, the tripod is it takes away from you worrying where you're gonna shoot it from. Well,
Composition,
again, yeah, but just for the first shot or couple shots, right? And then you can play around and remove it.
yeah,
But then when you're placing your elements, kind of, you need to start with tripod that will help you to shoot that way. And then especially, like, for example, if you want to use those tricks of photos, where the like you're throwing a strawberry inside the water,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
and you want to get the splash, then you cannot do that together. You really need, for example, your tripod to be there, because you need a low shutter speed. That's also technical, but however, in cameras as well, on phone, you can exactly do the same using low shutter speed,
Low shutter
if you
speed
have the
on,
app,
yeah,
yeah.
to control phone. Yes, perfect.
Yeah, but again, like, it's not 100% important to have a tripod. Like, you can definitely
You
shoot
can
food
do
and all
without a
composition.
tripod.
Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
can do
You
something.
can
You can get
definitely.
started at least, so
Yeah,
not to
you can, as
spend the
long as you
money.
have a phone. Yeah,
Yes.
and honestly, today you can definitely start with all what you, because you're really using literally natural light, your own
Yes.
table. Just find the right table, and then using props from what you already have. And I'm pretty sure you have a lot of different colors and plates and cutleries at home, and if you just place them in the right way, then you already have everything at
Something
home.
to
You
get
really don't need
started.
to get,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't
Like
need
they
to
say,
go
the
and buy.
best camera is the camera that is with you. So it's kind of
Yeah,
that.
yes,
Let's start
100%.
what you have.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Start with, use what you have, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now, yeah. So, and create a mood board. So collect other people photograph, or it doesn't have to be about food. It could be some, maybe, I don't know, beach. And I'm saying what I'm thinking right now. Put
Mm-hmm.
all the images together to create a feel that you want to have in your image. So the more
Perfect.
details you get into it, the better. Um, so that's about props and styling. Now we're gonna go to composition. And again, so now with composition is the most important part, really. And there are so many composition when it comes to photography. But for food, there's essentials one that you can also apply right away. Sorry, especially if you know how on Instagram you can use carousel, and then this way you can add more than one photo from a different angle for the same
Yeah.
scene. So this is great to apply this composition that we're learning today. For example, first one is 45 degree, which is how how we see food. That's why we get really interested. Like, it catch our eyes when we see photos like that, because we always
Mm-hmm.
see photos in 45 angle. Flat lay, it's like above from top down. Sorry, which is very popular these days, and on Instagram. But with flat lays, it's really, the lighting is not important as much as styling. You really need to know why everything is there, and what's the composition for it, and why it's there, not here. You need to balance your image when you're doing flat lay. A straight on, which is straight on just like that. And this is like any image, which is, you're just gonna lower your if you lower to see, let's say, the ingredients inside whatever you're having, for example, a
Yeah.
burger. And then holding shot, because holding shot, we human love hands, love seeing hands in everything. There's so many,
Yeah.
and then we do create everything with our hands. So seeing hands in the image was also holding on, or action shot, maybe pouring the drink, or anything related to that. So these 5 composition, you can start with that whenever you're having any kind of recipe.
Yeah.
And here's some
In human
example.
interact. Yes. Great show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flatly.
So
Perfect.
so hold so holding shots right here, and then, for example, this is, you can combine them together, 45 with action shot, 45 with action shot right there. That's a flat lay, and then holding shot. So as you can see, there are so many ways that you can use it. Just make sure that main focus is one element when you're doing that. Remember that the background is not important. Always remember what do I want the first thing the people to see when they look at my food. Now, also with composition, it's very good to know that using odd numbers, for some reason, we all like odd numbers. So anything 1, 3, 5, and so on. Also you can create groups like that. For example, there's like the cup here, the bird, and the egg. So this is an element of 3 in a way. And then again, like this is 1, and creating triangles. So when you create triangles with the food, not just like that. I mean, you could be reading triangles in a different ways, and creating negative space. So negative space around any of these stuff also helps. For example, when you're putting it on your website to add writing, or just because it gives us like kind of a relaxation when you look at it. It's not too busy and it's just simple. So I want to show you, for example, this shot. Why this shot is not good, this one is okay, because for example, when you look at it, like you can see that the light is on, the food is messy inside. You really can't tell the ingredients. Yes, there is lemon, yes, there is parsley, but again, we don't know what is this. And
this is not how to do, not how to shoot, correct?
Yes, it is 45, like it is kind of 45, but also flat lay, like, and then
it's in between, no,
and
not there.
And exactly, and the spoon is inside. So always don't put your spoon inside unless it's like out and showing, or you're cutting the cake, or you're actually showing it the dirty spoon, let's say, on the table, but in a nice way. Like it has to have a purpose. So, but this one, it's from here, and you can see the light is hitting the plate, and then there is you can see what's going on also. So
the great
now,
contrast in colors, like you had, with the white and the red, and you see the white on the plate, the white on the inside of the plate. Good.
Yeah, you can see the spoon, and the light is hitting, and there's no artificial light. Like this is all like natural light.
Just window light on the side.
Yes. So small things makes a huge difference. And now for here, for example, you can tell a story in many different ways. Again, using elements here, using and showing the action shot is very important, and or just showing your product as is. Walking shot, like you can create so many from one thing, right, about different elements. So now this is it basically. When you combine lighting, composition, and styling, what you can come up with, if you just keep practicing. Like don't get too start simple with the minimum that you have, I would say. So now with the course that with the class on May 15, today we talk about all of this, but then in the class on May 15, you can learn how to take, while combining all this, you will be learning how to take your photos all by yourself, with also creating a lot of combination of different composition. But also you learn how to edit your photos either on a computer or with apps, how to see light, and how to actually and how to have a consistent look. Because here's the thing, like you really need to be consistent with what, when you have a specific, what I see a lot on Instagram, like people who cook or new bloggers, that they have a lot of photos, but then, and the food looks good, but again, the photos doesn't, and they're working very well, like they still have clients and everything, but can you imagine if it's like much better, it's more cohesive, and it looks much better, it will add so much value as well. And then composition also, like not only these composition, like how to create lines with composition, lead your viewer where you want them to actually look to it. Learning how to manipulate light, and how to use light, and how to even work with light when you have a difficult light, and it's all hands-on, so it's more like work in progress. You'll have all your ingredients ready while we're doing the class, if possible. And then,
and we are also talking about, sorry if I talk about the class, we are offering a 20% off promo for the course, guys. If you are interested in getting more like nice shots like the ones you can see on the presentation. The
Yeah.
20% off. The code is in the description. And if you have more questions, drop a comment here on the chat section. Then we're gonna give you more information about.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you something as well, Farah. And
Yes.
how would you balance, in food photography, the styling, the recipe, and the lighting? How would you? What's the most important of these three topics? Which one do you sort first? How is
Mm,
the process in your
mm.
head?
Yeah, good question. It is first, I would say mood board would help a lot. Even like
Vision,
by saving, yeah, a vision, saving photos that makes you feel like, okay, this is what I want to create.
the look you after, kind of
Uh,
inspiration.
Exactly. Like you have an inspiration, and then once you do that, okay, let's say it depends what's the recipe. Right. So if you
Yeah,
want to create you can also combine all of them together. So from start to an end. So you start with taking photos of the raw materials, right? So what's in it, and this way you're just learning as you go, because you cannot just make it look perfect right away, right? So you start
mm-hmm.
learning with the basic. Okay, let's start with the elements that's
Mm-hmm.
going inside this recipe, and then maybe after that you start going to like once you use the elements to the next step, which is okay, where do I want to shoot these elements, and then writing, it helps a lot. So if you can also write how
Like a
many
shopping list, kind of that.
yeah, usually at the grocery where you start, like I would say
Mm-hmm.
literally how you gonna, it's at the grocery, because that's where you
Your
start with it. Yeah, you go there and you know what, okay, I want this and I want that. Because here's the thing, like again, I'm gonna give the mushroom example of mushroom soup. For example,
mushroom
you
soup.
want the yeah, so for example, you have a mushroom soup and you want to create that scene at the grocery. Let's say even if you buy a ready mushroom soup, you would still have you need some raw ingredients for it, right? So you
Yeah.
still need to say, for example, adding lemon, maybe no,
Mm-hmm.
adding like the dry mushroom, not the
Yeah.
dry mushroom, so they
Yeah.
look so good on the image. You can add that as well, maybe a bit of garlic, like a two couple pieces of garlic. So you really start
Nice.
with
The
the
flavor is
basic,
very good.
with the
Yeah.
flavors, and then
Good.
and then you go from there, so on. And then when you know about lighting and composition and all that, you're already talented in cooking and all that. So this is comes the next step for you, where you actually, okay, how I'm gonna make this look exactly how it tastes, or and then
Mm-hmm.
make it more appealing and draw attention to it. But for example, with that photo, you still can add two, three balls underneath underneath the main ball, for example, and then you put the ball this way. Creating layers in your image would also help you a lot. So you need to think
Like
of, okay, yeah, what props am I using? But that's for shooting it, for example, on an angle and slightly on a 45, so 45 angle, and then you're seeing what's around it. I don't know if people can imagine with me what I'm talking. But like,
yeah, no,
yeah.
no, no. I think if you like when you mention about the layers, it's like the main dish and secondary,
Mhm.
like the garlic or the ingredients, that would be a kind of a second layer. Is that what you say? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. And
got
then,
it.
like,
Yes.
for example, let's say that plate, that ball is on a wood surface. Then green would be,
Mm-hmm.
like, for example, look very good with it. So maybe you're at the grocery, or like you get like maybe you have a garden outside. You're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go and cut some greens and add it and see if it looks. Because here's the thing, you need to look and change. Like, you're not going to be liking it from the first time, or like
Yeah,
so many times I take it, I'm like, oh my god, this looks horrible, and then I change it again and this
yeah.
looks horrible, and and we're always, and until you figure out, it's like, okay, I think this looks better here, and you switch it. So it's a progress.
And then you
Yeah.
go, you start with the styling, with the
And then
styling, and then the
styling.
light, and like breaking down your process like a recipe, like you said.
Like the
Good, good,
recipe. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And to add more of a feel, like emotional feel to it this way.
On the
Yeah,
yeah,
instead of like, oh, this is a mushroom soup. Boom, I take it.
bank, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like, no, there's a, oh wow, this mushroom. What's the recipe? Then people would be like, okay, I want to know what's inside this mushroom soup, and they click and they go to the
Yeah,
blog
because
and then
actually,
they
it's like you see a soup, you can't see the ingredients like the pasta. You had the pasta, you had the sauce, you had the cheese. It's very clear what you're gonna put in your mouth. But I mean, the soup, like it's complete. What is in there? No,
yeah,
that's very true.
exactly.
Yeah, like you gotta communicate the flavors. That's very important too. No,
Yes,
very
yes.
true. Sure, sure.
And yeah, and I think so. We do have like a discount code, right? For like it was 20%, I think. Said
20 off.
for the
Yes, link on the
for 20
description,
off.
guys. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
perfect.
and I see some questions. Yeah.
Here on
So
the
let me see what else. So I'm just gonna go back and finish the last part. So also like how you
okay.
take ideal photos, and then lastly, basically how to use props and styling on your photos.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like if you look at this image, it just gives you a feel. So a lot of people also, I see that a lot of people like whenever they go to, let's say you're even like you're a photographer and you want to go to a you shoot for different coffee shops, telling the main like going to this coffee shop and showing behind the scene and transition shot and showing the dishes is a very also like you need to show what's behind it and how the feel of the place looks like,
Mm-hmm.
not only the food, right? Because people
Yes. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
an experience, so
Very
that
good.
also and another element. So some people
Mm-hmm.
now
Interesting. Yeah.
they have their own, well, we're closed, there's no restaurants anymore, but once they everything open up,
Sooner,
and
soon.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
soon. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And do you think that there is I mean, if you like food photography, like you approach the coffee shop from, I mean, by the corner, and then you can approach them, guys, this is the kind of food photography I do. Would you like me to take some pictures of your, I mean, your food,
Yeah, you don't even
your
have to
space
ask.
or something that, yeah, you can come over and show something. Sometimes they don't even think about like managing their social media. So if you come up with good images, yeah, could be a
Yeah, yeah. Some most of the time, restaurants and all that have their own photographer, but you can always add to your portfolio as a photographer, for example, or you're just
mhm.
starting as a photographer and you love food photography. Then you can definitely order food and take photos. Nobody will tell you anything. Like I before I used to go to coffee shop and I honestly teach some like stuff on my Instagram. So I
Mhm.
don't mind standing on a chair in front of everybody to just take that photo.
So
And you
take
know what
that,
I mean?
yeah,
You really have to be outrageous in doing things and not care what other people will think if you
we'll
did
think
that
about,
or this.
yeah, that's a good
So
step.
and just
Courage.
yeah, just courage, just and
Yes.
it doesn't come right away. It's just like, but
Yeah,
you have to
you build up the
you build it
confidence.
up. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
and it's always a
Eh,
challenge. Mm,
yes, yeah, it's always
it's always
a
a challenge.
inner judgment and the outer,
Yeah.
perspective.
Yes.
And we have a question here, Farah, from that we would like to know. Um, just remind you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop on the chat section.
Hmm.
But we have one here that is about
Yeah.
the artificial materials in
But,
food photography. How do you balance that? Because, like you gave the
mhm.
example of McDonald's, the bread maybe is a sponge.
Yes.
Sometimes the ice cream is actually mashed potato because it will not
True.
melt. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
tricks on like really commercial high end
Yeah.
photography that sometimes it could look like fake. I have a friend, he's a food photographer, and then he says, the beautiful um, morning cereals, you see the milk and the
Right.
strawberry, actually that's glue, it's white glue, because otherwise everything will it
Think.
got to be on the surface. And how
Yes.
do you balance like proper real food and how much you can go for the artificial, I would say, fake
Yeah.
stuff to
Yeah.
lift flavors, or how do you find this balance? How does it
Yeah.
work?
Great question. So here's the thing: there is no 100% balance in that, because here's the thing with food photography. If let's say you're 100% food photographer, right?
Yeah,
Again, like for me, my style is natural and all that, but I know how to use not natural light, and I work with a company as a contractor, and I shoot restaurants and food inside the restaurant, and I use
yeah.
artificial light, but also I use natural light when I'm taking lifestyle photography. So you really have to
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself, what style do I want to
Yeah,
achieve? And with the balance in terms of these two, also how extreme you want to take it with edit. Because with these stuff, is like, for example, you're having a lot of things flying in the image, then you definitely need artificial light. Like you cannot do all the tricks
yeah,
without it. So the truth be told, but if I it depends what you do and what you're using it for, and then then you move on to the next level. However, you can always use just white light to add more light, for example.
yeah.
And then especially for photography at home, if you wanna add that. But if you're shooting for food and rest, and these days again, on social media, people want to see like photos they know they're planned. It could be planned, like even when I take like branding, lifestyle,
Yeah.
like branding, personal branding photography for clients, I sorry, I make them, even if I want to do that, I make them to look more natural, right? So
Yeah.
we're more into shifting to more of that look, more real, more balanced, more, instead of like very perfect look. But again, if when it comes to restaurant or chain, they can't change
Yes.
it. It's like a by the guideline. You
Exactly.
they have a guideline. I don't know if they will change, and they do. Some of them, they actually, like
Yeah.
new modern restaurant, or let's say healthy one,
Yeah.
plant based, they're more into that lifestyle photos. So
Yes.
because they're not more of, oh, I'll put it on a white background, or and that's it. Before, we used to see even dresses or anything just like on a white and a photo. Now it's more, people want to know everything, want to know behind the scene, want to know in the scene, want to know how it looks,
Exactly. The
and
whole
every
chain, food
the whole
chain
thing.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like there's
Yeah.
no privacy
From a
anymore
branding
either.
perspective, yeah, is that what you mean? Like, yeah, from
Yeah.
a branding perspective, like a sustainable, sustainable suppliers and how it comes here. Yeah.
Hmm.
And do you feel that the difference, if you could get more the difference between um, how do you say, the DSLR and the phone photography? How do you feel the balance and the advantages and disadvantages of using these two?
Yes. So with photography, um, so now again, if you are shooting for brands
Yeah.
and more of professional stuff, you definitely need the SLR camera, but also your phone can do a lot. I think you can combine both of them together. Like I use my phone and I use my DSLR camera. I can always use both of them. I don't mind, and it's a balance of both. And with the phone camera nowadays, again, you can buy a lot of lenses from different companies, and then add to that, because a lot of people I feel like they don't want to learn a lot about DSLR yet until they actually have it as a business. So once they have things as a business, they either hire a photographer, or they go and get their own camera, and then they start shooting, and they figure out, oh, I need a better camera, and I need that, and I need all this. Because the phone is great, but I don't think you can 100% get everything you need with the phone if you want more of real look. Like, because even with let's say portrait mode, you shoot something, but it's too blurry sometimes in the background. You cannot really control it, where in DSLR you can control everything, like to the bit. So you really, if you want it that much blurry or less blurry, so that makes a huge difference.
And how important would you think this like depth of field and this control on the food photography helps with your narrative? Like controlling background, like separate, like you said, you have like, oh, the background
Yeah.
is blurred and not, so the focus on this, focus on that. How do you use this as a narrative element?
Yeah, again, it's that with the opening of the lens, right? And how much depth of field you want, or how close you are to the product or the subject of your shoot. And then same thing. And now with the phone camera, you can definitely use that with an app and then play with it. So you don't really have to go, I was like, oh, I can't take the best photo without a DSLR camera. That's not true, because even with the DSLR cameras, the kit lens that comes with it sometimes is not the best lens. So you really can't control the depth in that much, because if we're going to go deep into like lenses and all that, you really need a specific lens to get for the opening of the lens. You need to get that depth, shallow depth of field, right? And so it all depends on the look. Again, with food photography, you really need to kind of show all the elements in a way, but then the star is one plate. And then maybe one shot where everything is blurry in the background and that one subject is not, where you still can do that. For example, if you take a photo with your phone, you can edit it later in another app and make it more blurry if you don't want to use the portrait mode because it's too blurry. So there's always a way around it. Like, I think that people always find a way to find excuses, but if you want to do something with phone, with camera or whatever, it's easy. You just, like, if you really want to learn it, then it's just easy to do it and then practice it. And then once you feel like, oh great, I want to take it to the next level, you can add more equipment, more lenses. But you really start with the basic. Whatever you have works. If you have a phone and you don't want the camera now, that works. And then same thing, if you have a camera and you want to learn more about it, and if you want to upgrade it, that's also something that you can consider.
Great.
Yeah. I hope that
More
helps.
questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I see somebody
Let's
here.
carry on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. By the way, there's an interesting story you mentioned the other day to me. If you'd like to share the biscotti story, how you managed to interact and engage with the potential clients, like on social media. Yeah, if you're gonna tell us more about this, the best biscotti story, feel free to go on. Yes,
that
go
biscotti
on.
story, sure.
How it became professional.
Yeah, it's still like we just started. It's not like, so my relative, she's Turkish, and she makes her food is amazing, and she makes a lot of biscotti usually at home. Oh, did we lost Bruno? Or we're good? Too many questions here. Okay, I just want to make sure that we are all good. Oh,
perfect. Yeah.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, it was
sorry.
technical issues.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Carry on,
Okay.
please.
Yeah. So So I was saying, where was I saying? Okay. For the biscotti story. So my relative, she cooks a lot of great food, and her biscotti is very famous in the family. And my dad loves it. So whenever my dad comes and visit, she always makes that chocolate biscotti, and it also has like a lot of some nuts in it, and raisin and apricot. So one time we were sitting here not long time ago with the COVID and all that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna try and see and put it in a coffee shop because I think it's great. She's like, yeah, sure. Oh my God. And I went to, and I know a lot of coffee shop because of my, like, I shoot for a lot of restaurant and stuff like that. And in my neighborhood, I have a shop that I go to all the time. It's called Lavaza. So I went to him the first time and I'm like, hey, listen, I need you to try this and let me know your honest opinion. And can we like sell it? Do you like it? And all these stuff. And then we moved to the next level because you need like all these paper and stuff to actually sell these stuff in Canada. And then and he said yes. He tried it and he said yes, I want that much, and he ordered a quantity. And I'm like, that opens a new door, which is great. And then I start going to different shops, and they also liked it, and so on. So now, because I'm also like, I shoot food and all this stuff, I took the biscotti and I start shooting the biscotti, and I opened an Instagram for her, and I start, now we're more shifting into, like, let's say, customized biscotti or any kind of chocolate. So I'm kind of more managing her Instagram in a way, because she's most like older. She's like, I'm not dealing with this. You tell me how much order you want and I'll make it. But I don't think anybody, even like if I take the exact recipe and I'll take it, make it, for example, I wouldn't be able to, like, it's, we say a word in our culture, it's more of like it's your own breath and hands that makes it right, because she makes it in a very, she makes it look so easy as well, but her measurements and the way she makes it and the ingredients and all that, it tastes really, really good. So yeah, so I'm happy with that, still growing. Yeah.
And as you just gave this example of a collaborative spirit between someone, you know, that wants actually to sell their product, and you were helping, like, marketing and giving,
Yeah.
creating images and engaging with the audience. Do you think it's something that students can do with a friend that is a good cook? For example, I want to take pictures of your product, like, can they maybe team up, or is something relevant to as an option after, taking your course, getting more experience? Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
that's,
think it's something
sorry,
that can work out?
sorry, say it again. Can you ask me the
Yeah,
question
if you can,
again?
to work out, like, when you team up with a friend.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
say I have a friend that is likes to cook, but I don't know how to
But
cook, but I like to take
oh, okay.
pictures. Is
Oh yeah.
something possible
Yeah,
for?
so yeah, now I get it. So yeah, of course there is, this is because not everybody have the patience for it, not everybody, because this is, think about it, it takes a lot of time to actually do take photos, so not everybody interested. So here's what happens is you can definitely collaborate with bloggers who have recipes, or even, so you just like take the food and then shoot it and do a lot of collaboration on that, because this is makes a huge difference. It just gives you more time to do what you actually want to do, and then give the other person what they actually do, having something out of it, right? Because it's kind of everybody doing what they have to do, and like what they actually like to do, not because they have to. So if I like photography, great, I'll just do my own, like I'll help you doing stuff related to photography. Yes, I like cooking, but I'm not a chef, and I'm not going to start selling food, right? So however, what happened with these days, because maybe photographer, sometimes they're so expensive, or people like to do everything by themselves and at home, and especially, for example, for now with the pandemic and all that, you have more time at hands to learn things. So yeah, might as well, it becomes a second nature to you, and just add it um, to your list of things to do. But again, if you don't have the time, and you have kids at home, and you need to cook, and you need to sell, and you know, like, we wear so many hats as a business owner. So I'm pretty sure we all like relate to it. Again, if you can afford and add more, or find somebody even to just collab with, you don't have to pay them money. Just if they are okay with it, then totally fine. Yeah, there's always a
Good.
way around it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd like just to remind you, guys, that, we have the promo for the course, and actually will be 2 courses. You can start the first one like with the basic settings if you want to move to like DSLR and something more like camera rather than phone. And we will be
Mm-hmm.
teaching the basic steps like aperture, like she was mentioning, how to control depth of field. So that's some of the courses that we can find. And it is a good way to get all the elements together and move on to the next class, with Farah more on food photography. So that would be good. And we still have more time, guys, if you want to ask more questions about
Yeah.
information about like courses, tips, or curiosities, we are here to answer. Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno, you teach the 4 courses, right? Or is it what?
Yes, the
Yeah,
beginner's
the
course,
4,
1, 2,
2,
3, and 4.
and
Yeah,
4. Yeah,
1
yeah, yeah.
basic
Pretty short.
steps, 2 aperture, speed, and
Yeah,
fully manual. Good.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
to get all the
yeah.
skills and move on to give into your hands, and then you. to the
Yeah, and
magic.
then yeah.
Okay.
Well, the magic is all at your place, you know. It's like
Yeah.
you have to use this thing when they have
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah, guys, I think
mhm.
that's a wrap. Yeah, we were. It was great to have you guys with us today, and hoping to see you anytime soon in one of the courses. Basic ones, food photography with Farah. You got the link on the description.
And I
And thank you to everybody, guys. Yeah, sorry, Farah. Carry on.
no, I just want to thank you. I no keep going, and
Yeah.
I'll say
Yes.
my part
Okay.
after. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's it. Thank you guys for and this will be the important to tell this that it's going to be recorded. It's being recorded, so you can watch later in Farah's
it is.
presentation as well. You
Okay.
guys can access and study by yourself or with more time, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Good.
Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you, Bruno. You
Yeah.
make this very easy and smooth for me to just like go through the whole presentation. And yeah, somebody's asking Hazar, and hi Hazar. So yeah, so she's asking if the course will be saved. It will be saved, and then yeah, and I hope to see you in the classes. I think
Great.
Bruno class is amazing if you're starting to learn anything about how to use your DSLR camera, and then we move on to the next photography with food photography, and we learn a lot more about that. And I enjoyed it today, so thank you so much for the Photo
Yeah.
Academy,
It was a
Bruno,
very
and
good time.
everyone who joined us. Yeah,
Yes. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for the team and everybody. Take care. Hope to see
thank
you
you.
soon. Bye bye.
Bye.